I would like to thank Level Up Games in South St. Paul, Minnesota for having us this week. Phone number for South St. Paul is 651-493-9176. Address is 207 13th Avenue South in South St. Paul, Minnesota 55075. They have been very courteous in allowing us to record here. Next time you're in South St. Paul, please stop by for all your Magic, Pokemon, and comic book needs. Hello and welcome to the Major Up Podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of August. Well, it's already August. And we're going to go in, this is going to be mostly a review podcast tonight. So I just got done watching Shin Godzilla, and for people who don't know what Shin Godzilla is, it's Godzilla Reborn. It's kind of a reboot. It's a hard reboot of Godzilla. And it's pretty interesting because it looks like it might be a trilogy of movies, because it leaves kind of a cliffhanger question running throughout the movie. But I'm going to go through here and on the three merits, and then I'll tell you what I think of the whole movie. So, on story, I would give it a 5 out of 5. It's kind of boring throughout part of it because it's a lot of human interaction, whereas in a lot of Godzilla movies, it's a lot of destruction and monsters fighting. But this is kind of a reboot of Godzilla and where he comes from. And so, it is pretty interesting to see how the political machine works in Japan and kind of their thoughts about how the rest of the world views them. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I kind of agreed with a lot of it, but that's my opinion. Anyway, and for art or cinematography, it was really interesting. There were different shots of stuff that normal American people wouldn't use, like American cinematographers wouldn't use. And some of the shots of Godzilla, you knew they were CGI, but some of the angles they used to make Godzilla look just humongous is pretty cool. Like the way that they went out and they just filmed like some neighborhood, and then they threw Godzilla in there in his computer animation, and it looked completely real. It was pretty sweet, and I really liked it. Now, as far as accessibility, it's 5 out of 5. You don't really need to know anything about Godzilla in these movies, and because it's kind of a reboot, so they make sure that like none of the characters know who Godzilla is, and there's a hint that Godzilla has come to America before, and some scientist knows about it, and he's holding a secret, and it just makes it very interesting. I would give it a 5 out of 5. If you're definitely a big monster movie fan, enjoy it because it's great. It's Japanese, so it's not the American Godzilla, and a lot of people didn't like the last two American Godzilla movies, but this is definitely Godzilla from Japan, and it really delivers. Alright, now we're going to go into my comic book reviews. All three of these were given to me by Tony from Level Up, and one of them I didn't like, and the other two I liked increasingly a lot. So the first one is called Spiritus. It's a new comic book series from Vault Comics, which is also a new comic book company. A newer, I should say, not new. The writer is Tim Daniel, and art is by Michael Kennedy. So for art, I put 2 of 5. It's just not my style. And for story, I put 2 of 5. Not my style. It's not something that I'm into. Now, accessibility is 5 out of 5. You need to know next to nothing to pick it up. It's not a kid's comic, though. You don't want your kids reading it. If you're into image stuff, I think you'd enjoy this comic. But if you're into superhero comics, steer clear. It's not that... I'm not 100% into superhero comics, and I like some image stuff, but this is 100% kind of an image type comic. I don't know. I give it an overall 2 of 5. I just didn't like it. Now, as a test, Tony put me up to read Generations the Strongest from Marvel. The writer is Greg Pak, and art by Matteo Bafangni. I'm bad at names. Anyway, art, 5 out of 5. Basic Marvel art. There's nothing outstanding, nothing bad, so it just gets a basic 5 out of 5. Story is 5 out of 5. If you were an absolutely big Hulk fan and you've been following the Hulk for years, you will love this. It's not a great story, but Greg Pak gets the Hulk and he knows exactly how to put it on paper. Accessibility, I'd say 2 out of 5. It takes the new Hulk, Amadeus Cho, and the old Hulk, Bruce Banner, and it puts him in something called the vanishing point, which is where the person now is transported into some kind of, it's called the Vanishing Point. It has there's some offshoot in Secret Empire, but I haven't been reading that right now, so I don't know exactly what is all going on with the Vanishing Point, but it has something to do with this. So he gets to meet the Hulk in his prime, Bruce Banner in his prime, Amadeus Cho does, and he tries to reason with him and try to get him to change, and of course it proves futile because Commander Ross is chasing with tanks and stuff, and he learns a little bit about being the Hulk. So I would say that's 2 out of 5. Overall, I get a 4 out of 5. I mean, if you're not really into Marvel old school continuity, you might not like it, but I think that these one-shot generation ones are for the fans of that particular person. So that's why they're doing so many of them, is so that there's one at least. It's gonna bridge the gap between Secret Empire and Legacy. So if you're gonna read the Hulk going on, maybe it's smart to get this one, because the Hulk is definitely gonna spring out forward from this. Because on the back it said coming next, Hulk 709, which is the next Hulk comic book. And I'm a big fan of the Hulk, so it's pretty interesting to see what Legacy is gonna push out here. The last one I reviewed is called Irato. It means from anger in Latin. This is a Lion Forge comic book, and it is by one person, and I forgot to write their name down, I'm sorry. But this one person, Theory, I think is the person's first name, and I absolutely am sorry I forgot about it, but apparently it's on issue 4. But Tony handed it to me and told me to review it because he thought I would like it, and he was absolutely correct. The art in this book is amazing. This is probably my new favorite artist, like my new updated favorite artist, because I really love Saya Om and Margaret Savage, and this kind of, it doesn't look like it's colored. It looks like it's actually drawn like Saya Om does with pencils, but the coloring is done with pencils. This is a reprint into English because it's originally a French comic. So let me go here. And so art's 5 out of 5. Story is 4 out of 5 because it's kind of the old story type. Somebody shows up in town, something bad's going down, they stick their nose in it, it gets cut off, and they want to know what's going on. But you didn't know what to expect, and even though it was kind of an old, tired thing, it still stood out with the art. Accessibility, 5 out of 5. New story. And it's from Lion Forge. Lion Forge puts out quality stuff. I've read a bunch of stuff from them over the years, and their stuff's pretty decent. So overall, I would give that a 5 out of 5. That was a pretty good comic, and I'm going to pick up 2 through, I think it's a 6-issue series. So it would be 2 through 6. And I think 4 is the last one that came out. And while I was at Level Up today getting my comics, there was a guy buying number 1, and Tony looked at him and he goes, "Yeah, we just read that last night, and that was great." And it was just super good. Well, my pull list this week, I didn't have a pull list this week. There was nothing. But Tony had some comics traded in, some military comics, and I was more than happy to take them off his hands. And more than likely, more than one of them will be on Tales from the Dollar Bin. Each issue has a couple of war stories in it, so we'll be going over those. Maybe this week, maybe next week, we'll start that. I know there's going to be a Tales from the Dollar Bin this week, and that is going to be up probably Friday. Friday is the day I usually do Tales from the Dollar Bin, Friday or Sunday, but we'll see. And in more news that I want to tell you, Minnesota Fan Fest is coming up on the 19th and the 20th, and right now, if you go online, I think there's a code you can get if you go on Facebook. If you look it up on Facebook, there's a ad, and it's on my personal feed of Andrew Voyer. If you look on there, you can get 50% off a weekend pass, and I think it's $40 for the weekend, so you can get it for $20. And I'm going to be on 2 of the panels, I believe. I believe I'm going to be on DC versus Marvel Comics and the sci-fi versus fantasy panel, and that should be pretty awesome. I can't wait for those panels. I'll let you know a little more when I know a little more. And like I said, you can go on my feed. I shared it a couple times today. If you go to Andrew Voyer on Facebook, you'll be able to get the code to get 50% off your ticket, which I believe is $40 for the weekend, and you get $20 off. So it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. There's a lot of cool people going to be there, and I'm going to get some autographs. Like Peter J. Tomasi is going to be there, and Dan Jurgens, and Francis Manipal, who did The Flash in the New 52, and it's just amazing. Well, anyway, I'm going to let you go right now, and I hope you guys are having a great time, and continue to read, and make sure you go to your local comic shop and support them. They could use all your support, and I hope to see you in a couple days for the Tales from the Dollar Bin. And I'm also going to have a special one, and I don't know if it's going to be on Friday or Saturday. It's going to be all the Legends books from Marvel. I'll review all of them, and hopefully we'll find something that you will enjoy, and I will talk to you then. Thank you, and have a great day.